Evening, folks. How are we? Hope you're all well. Excuse me. I don't mind saying, what a bloody night. Oh, Christ almighty. I finished my work a bit later tonight. Then I fell asleep for a bit. Then I'm supposed to be doing a cook school competition on Saturday. And then I realised that I didn't have to take part in it. I mean, it's everybody from the whole of Britain that take part, and you've got badges which you have to have sewn on. So one of my sisters, was going to sew them on for me, and then she told me tonight I need them basically for it's Friday night. But she's out tonight, she's out tomorrow night, and she's working during the day. So I was halfway to one sister's, and I phoned my other sister and I said, any chance of doing the badges for me? So she said, yeah, that's fine. So I had to drop them off there. Then I came back. Then I had to go out and get some messages. Messages as in Scotland is what you guys would call groceries. I had to get some messages. And by this point, it was about 20 to 9. And I'd already said I was going to do this. And then I took my dogs out for a walk. Now, normally where I take them, we go up to the right in a big field. But because I'm running short of time, I was going to take them to the left, which was a kind of shorter walk. Now, Archie, the Westie, is getting on in years, but like myself, he's getting very deaf, and he didn't know where I had gone. So I had gone to the left, and then Archie panicked, wondered where I was, and then he went to the right, and he started bloody running, and I'm shouting on him, and the more I'm shouting on him, the quicker he's running in the opposite direction. So I got him back about bloody 5 to 9. So yeah, it's been a bit of a bastard night. Anyway, how's the score? Yeah, apparently Scotland are playing, is it Armenia, something like that? I don't even know what the score is. I'm not remotely interested in football. And I watched the Ukraine game, and we were absolutely shite. So anyway, quick, we're going to watch 2 episodes of the computer program. Now, you're actually lucky you're in the stream, because at least you're going to get to see them. It's a weird one. Last week we watched issues. We watched episodes 6 and 7. I think we also watched Starcade. And rather annoyingly, I got a block on the video down to the Kraftwerk music, and a block basically stops anybody seeing it. So that was the video disappeared. I mean, I've still got it, but nobody can see it. So at least you're getting, if you're watching this live like you are, then you're going to get to see it, because there's a high chance they're going to take this video down as well, which is a piece of bloody nonsense. What harm is watching a 40-year-old program doing for anybody? It's a lot. I can understand why people get completely pissed off with YouTube, because the algorithms and the copyright strikes, they're completely random. I mean, I think this is about the 4th or 5th video that I've done watching the computer program, and the first 3 or 4 were absolutely fine, and then last week's was just copyright strike. Well, it wasn't a copyright strike, but it was taken down. So let's have a quick wee swatch. We've got Ian Batchelor, we've got a Rodian, we've got Ox, we've got the Mamemeister, we've got Ian, and we've got Mr. Colin Gregory and Mark whatever. So excellent. And we've also got Country Roadist, and last but by no means least, Mr. Matt Renton and LFC Gamer. So good evening, chaps. I've got nothing else to say. So right, I'm going to who was it? Somebody was asking about how, I think it was Colin asking how my COVID is. It's all right. I've now got a negative. I got a negative yesterday morning. I was absolutely fine, to be fair. So I mean, I'm back at work. I was off work on Monday. Back back to work yesterday, and obviously today as well. So, right, anyway, listen, enough of my talking shite. You'll be well used to that. Let's just get the computer program on and get it going. Yeah, I'm fine. I am absolutely fine. I've got to say, I was watching Dale Boy's first gameplay video, and I have to say I was bitterly disappointed with his lack of skills. I mean, I think he got to level 2, and then he absolutely crashed and burned. I mean, to be fair, level 1 did look very easy. Level 2, it was a bit more difficult, and Dale crashed and burned. So, disappointed would not even begin to explain how it was. I've asked Dale. Dale tells us that he's pretty good at Ghosts and Goblins, so I've asked him to do a live stream, not a live stream, do a recording area. Listen, I'm talking and I can't even find what I'm looking for. Right, anyway, listen, I can't tell how loud this is going to be, so let me know. There's obviously, I think there's about a 20-second delay, so when you put a comment in, it takes about 20 seconds for me to see it. So, yeah, let me know how the volume is. So this is the computer program, Season 1, Episode 8. Bring it on.
This must be just about the most maddening puzzle ever invented. Just as you think you've got it cracked, you notice another of the squares slightly out of place. It's just the kind of problem you'd have thought a computer would be good at solving. And it is, except for one thing. Somebody first has to tell it how to go about finding the solution. What we're really waiting for is the kind of computer to which you can give a problem and then leave it to work out the answer all by itself. The sort they write about in science fiction stories. The thinking machine.
I should really just make a noise so I don't get a copyright strike. What's that? Thanks, Mark. Ali's just a grumpy bastard. Well, that is very true. So how's the volume? There he is, the main man. He looks like the perfect candidate for Operation U3. Good stuff, thank you, LSD.
No problem. That way.
I see, I'm quite a fan of his camel jacket. Lovely brown colour. I don't know why I put up with you, Dale. I really don't.
That way.
He's rocking old casual look without the tie again, I notice.
I can't believe it. Here again. Oh, I've had enough of this. Let's sit down a bit. That's better. Come on, Spot. Let's be having you. There's a good dog.
Here, Master.
Right. Well, that took a hell of a long time.
What was that called again? Canine.
Spot, anyway.
I've just memorized the maze.
What on earth do you do that for?
So we can find the way out, Master.
But we already know the way out. It's over there. You look at me that curious way for. Don't you agree?
Good evening, Trevorley. How are
What do
you?
you think it is?
What's going on here, like?
132.3 degrees.
Rubbish.
I am now vectoring onto the correct course.
That'll keep him occupied for a while. The great fun about a maze is to walk about it until you're thoroughly lost, and you get that little bit of a feeling you may never ever find your way out again. And of course, you will find the exit, you by luck, by instinct, by cheating, or by...
I'm assuming that Canine was remote controlled, eh?
A super intelligent fictional robot like K9 could probably find the exit without even having to memorize the maze. But you could use a more conventional computer to solve the problem. First, it would have to be given a map of the maze, and because it couldn't apply intelligence, it would have to use a purely mechanical method, exploring all the paths
I
before...
wonder what ever
heading
happened to
out
that
on the
K9.
shores
I
of
wonder who
the
owns it. It's probably been sold on eBay for a shitload of money.
About time. Where have you been all this time? I told you it was that way.
Negative, Master.
Well, you said it was that way.
Negative, Master.
Right, well, tell me how to get out of here.
Left, forward 30 paces, right, left at the first turning, right at the next turning, 7 paces forward, sharp left, sharp right, right
All
again,
right, I give
left
it.
at the first...
Come on, just show us.
There we go.
Let's see it.
Just turned up a wee bit, boys. Let me know. Boys and girls.
Where are you going to go?
This way.
You know, for a so-called intelligent animal, your three-point turns are terrible.
Compliments are unnecessary. Please follow.
Evening, Kenny.
Well, you don't need a computer as sophisticated as K9 to solve a maze. Even a small computer can do it, as long as
Yep,
it has a way
98, I
of
think
building
this
up
one is
a mental
triple A.
map of the walls. In fact, it seems that the ability to learn in that way is something quite easy to get a computer to do.
How
I'll show you
about
another
that?
example.
You can't
This
see that anymore.
computer has been programmed to play a game, but in a rather unusual way. The game, of course, noughts and crosses. But at the moment, the computer doesn't know that. In fact, it doesn't know anything at all about the game. It doesn't know any of the rules, such as they are, nor what it's supposed to do to win. But it is programmed to try to win, if only it knew what that involved. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to be X, and I shall put my first X in square
Evening,
root
Bill.
of 5.
How are you, Squire?
And see what the computer does. Chooses to go there. Okay. I shall go there. Not bad. I shall then go up there. And it's
See, nobody would actually get offended with short arse, but midget or dwarf,
Wasn't very
yep,
hard
and
to
they'll all be
Now, in the
screaming.
course of playing a large number of games, it's going to learn. And eventually it should be able to win, or at least force a draw every time. Now, Mac, how is it going to set about that learning process?
Well, with noughts and crosses, it's not very difficult, actually. And all we have to do is, it's got one great thing that you haven't got. You've got a beautiful...
Categorically say, Bill, I've
That
never
is the
seen an
capability
episode of
of
that.
never forgetting anything once it's been
Not
told.
interested.
So every game that it plays, it remembers exactly your moves and its moves, so that if it comes across the similar situation again, it can look back and find out whether from that position it won or it lost and take the appropriate action. If it can see a winning stream, it follows that. If it sees it's going to lose there, it does something else.
Well, in fact, this program has one other useful feature. You can arrange for it to get all its experience by playing against itself without any human intervention. So you're not condemned to playing 10,000 games of noughts and crosses against a rather taciturn opponent. I'll just start it off. And now we can leave it to its own devices.
Can you imagine if that was all we had game-wise
Getting
in
computers
computer?
to
Bloody
learn
hell.
may be one step on the road to making them at least seem intelligent. But there is an enormous gap between a machine which is good at solving mazes or can play noughts and crosses and one which has any of the qualities we normally associate with the word intelligence. But many computer scientists want no less than to create machines which think like people do. We asked a number of experts what the purpose of their work was.
Well, where's the
And
posh
this is what
toy?
Professor Roger
Oh.
Schenck of the University of Yale told us.
There we go, he's a
Certainly the case that we intend to mimic human beings.
geek. Look
Basically,
at
the
him.
goal of our research is to build computers that are just like people. The idea that computers would somehow be better than people is something to aim at, but we really have a whole lot of problem just equaling them first. We have gotten a tremendous respect for human capabilities through this work, and
Like the stereotypical
the idea
early
of surpassing them is a little
had a
little
beard and
difficult.
glasses.
Only a little in the future,
And it's
Mac.
true,
No,
they
I
did
hardly
all
think
have
so.
beards and
I
glasses.
believe that if he has raised money to build computers like human beings, he's got job security for a long, long time in the future. But there are certain things, of course, that we take for granted, and to us it's extremely simple, which computers find extremely difficult. And for example, knowing where it is. You can stick a
There we
television
go.
camera in front of
Sorted.
it. It can see what is happening on a television screen.
I
but it
can't
has
bloody
no
see, but
idea
anyway.
what that is, and it's extremely difficult for it to understand what it is a picture of. Well, I think I can show you. Right, Chris. Tell me what you can see.
McNaught Davis sitting on a chair.
Well, that's not what you can actually see. What you're actually seeing is this curious shape upper part here, which will be flat, and you've got white legs going down the side, and these legs going down the front.
Oh, I see what you mean, but I mean, I know I recognize a person when I see one, and I recognize a chair when I see one. And if a person is in a sitting posture on a chair that I recognize as a chair, that's good enough for me. I recognize the person sitting down.
Well, it's simple to you, but it is very difficult for a computer. You'd recognise it as a chair, even if it was a deck chair, an armchair, a high-back chair, a simple wooden chair. And you'd recognise the human shape, whatever race, whatever size, whatever sex it was. You'd even see this, which is a completely different shape to me. You'd recognise as a human, and with one leg showing, you'd recognise
What
that
was that? Somebody's mother again? I can't remember what that was called.
It as Whistler's mother, but
Whistler's
the
there,
computer
big
would have
old
to store an
Whistler.
immense amount of information to come out with that sort of an answer.
And I suppose it must be just as difficult for computers to speak and understand human languages for the same sort of reasons. Now, here's the first sentence of a story. George was having lunch with another teacher and grading homework, or correcting homework, when the waitress accidentally knocked a glass of Coke on him. Now, seems quite straightforward, doesn't it? You know from just that one sentence what George does for a living and where the scene took place. But for a computer, it's not so simple. It would have to know a great deal about
I
human
never
behavior
remember
without
this programme being
one of
quite
Roger
as
Shane's
dry as it
postgraduates,
is.
Mike Dyer.
It's still good fun though.
Now, there are a number of issues here. First, we have several different types of knowledge. We
Oh,
have
he's got a
lunch,
moustache. I thought I was
we
going to.
have,
My theory was
occupations
going to
such
be
as
blown out of the water, but he's
we have the
he's got
waitress.
the comfy jumper on.
Notice, for example, that anyone who reads this story realizes that we're in a restaurant, but nowhere in the text does it specifically say that we are in a restaurant. There's a mention of a waitress, but we wouldn't want the program to assume that when you mention the word waitress that you're in a restaurant, as in the case of John is in love with a waitress. However, in this
Evening,
case, how is
Steve.
it that the program knows
How are
that
you,
we're
buddy?
in a restaurant? It's the combination of knowing that lunch is something that restaurants serve, combined with the existence of the waitress who's serving it, and so on, that indicates that to the program that we're in a restaurant.
And this is what some of the computer's accumulated knowledge looks like when displayed on the screen. It may look complicated, but it's nothing to the kind of understanding we carry around in our heads all the time.
The mere kind of whispering in this one. Christ knows why.
And here's another example. It doesn't say here
Yeah, you're not
what George does
not
for
wrong,
a
Matt.
living, but how is the computer to work it out?
Most people make that inference at the point that they see that George was having lunch with another teacher. Now, however, that inference alone, you can't just have a simple rule that says if you see.
If you've just tuned in, folks, and you're expecting a games master with double entendres, then you're going to be bitterly disappointed.
That Sarah is also a man. But if you say I saw George with another teacher, it makes sense to say that
This
George
is an
teacher.
early
So
slice
it's very
of
complicated.
British
You have to
computer
look at the
TV.
relationships that are going on. You can't just have a simple rule.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting a
The
bit
result is that
concerned,
we
Mark,
ask the
myself.
computer questions about the story and receive answers which show that the machine has in some way understood what's being fed into it. Where did George have lunch? At the restaurant. What did George do for a living? Answer, George was a teacher. How did the waitress feel at the restaurant? Answer, the waitress regretted that she spilled Coke on George, and so on. It was really quite
She
impressive.
spelled Coke and George. Bloody hell, it's
It is
getting a bit seedy now,
very
isn't
small
it?
world that the computer knows about.
The programs that we have are capable of understanding within limited domains. That is, if you program to talk about football, they can talk about football. If you program them to talk about movies, they can talk about movies, perhaps. But if you want them to talk about everything, if you want them to have opinions on life, if you want a full range of subjects, we're far away from that. We're far away from the philosophical computer.
That's the thing, this was about,
all-knowing,
what,
omniscient.
40 years ago, so he's probably about 30-year-old. He must be 70, 80 at least. An old Morris Minor.
Well,
Jane,
general
thanks for
conversation,
Kenny.
let alone wisdom and understanding of life, is still a little beyond today's generation of computers. But if I wanted to do something less philosophical, like start this blooming car, I could use a different approach, the so-called expert system. Now, Mac, what does that mean, expert system?
Well, you can think of it almost like a book like this, which will tell you how to start your car with a set of rules, if you like, which are written by an expert. And we can turn to a page here, and it might just help us. Right, look at the fuel gauge. Have you got any petrol in your car?
Yes, I put some in just before getting here, yes.
Right, well, it says here, if it fails to start, try it again with your foot on the floor and try and see if it starts.
Foot on the floor.
Right?
All right. Foot on the floor. Start.
That's enough. Whoa.
Nothing.
Number 2, look for leaks. These can occur anywhere.
Well, I don't think it's a good idea, but
The engine.
you know, when they're trying to start a bloody car.
3, check fuel pump.
This is beginning to sound like a computer, actually. I mean, is it the sort of thing you can use on a computer?
Well, it is. Essentially, it's a set of rules, and you can go through it saying if there's a spark, if there's petrol in the tank, if the engine turns, then there's a high probability it's something wrong with your carburettor.
Right.
And this is where a computer system would differ from this book, because it can deal in probabilities. That's what we mean by a computer.
Check alternator.
An expert that's put all
20
the rules that we're
to
talking about
100
into the
cars
computer
per.
itself. And we've got one of these programs here, and there are 3 things that could have gone wrong with your car. There's something wrong with the electrics, there's something wrong with the spark, and there's something wrong with your fuel line.
Well, we know it wasn't the
There's something you're talking about there, Martin,
starter
yeah.
was turning the engine over quite well. So it's a choice between the ignition and the fuel, and let's opt for the fuel, shall we?
Right,
See what
let's
they can
try.
diagnose.
Okay. Right, question 1.
The good old
Absolutely,
Apple, too.
there's
That
petrol
was
in
the
the tank.
very first
Just
computer I
no
ever
problem.
got.
No problem. Now,
Show
what we can do is enter this
in
uncertainty
geography of all,
a scale of -5
classes.
through 0 to +5.
Right.
And 0 means I've no idea. -5 is it's definitely not, and +5 it definitely is.
Right.
So you've got that range of certainty.
You may
So
want
we
to use
put in
actually, I think they're quite
5,
pricey.
which effectively says we're certain there's fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
How certain are you that petrol is reaching the carburettor?
Well, I got here, so there must be some getting through somewhere, but then it has broken down, so it's difficult to say. I don't know. I'm reasonably certain.
Reasonably certain. Let's give that a 4.
Next time, I don't think so.
Absolutely certain. You'd have to take the pipe out and be absolutely certain. Right, remove each of the spark plugs one at a time. How certain are you that the spark plugs are wet with petrol?
I don't really feel like doing that. And anyway, I could be broken down beside the road or something, so can I say I don't know?
Can
Will
you
it accept
say,
that?
don't know?
Well, this
Right.
particular bit's crashing and
Now we've
burning,
got
isn't
here,
it?
there's a fault in the fuel system with a certainty which is high. That's at 3.
Evening, John Bond.
range
How are you,
between
mate?
4 and 5. It's a fairly high certainty there's a fault in the fuel system. The float needle in your carburettor is sticking with a certainty of 4.13 out of 5. That's a very high certainty. That's your problem. And there's a block jet in the carburettor with a certainty of 2, which means it's an average certainty. It's one of those 2.
Well, 10 out of 10, because I happen to know what the fault is, because it happens all the time on this car. It's
I think the first game I played in Apple II was Lemonade Stand.
The
That
expert
was about it.
put the program into
First
the
and
computer
only.
already knew that too.
I wonder if by the time we get to the stage of having the computer in the car, they will also have on the computer my own particular solution to the sticking needle valve.
The skill is knowing where to hit, though.
That's right, you've got to hit it just there. That'll be nice.
That's going to fix it.
Fingers crossed. Ha-ha!
Well done.
Terrific, we have contact.
Surprise,
That
surprise.
computerized car mechanic was designed as a commercial demonstration to show what expert systems can do.
one of these
There are
cars
larger
has
and more
got a
powerful
few
programs of
quid
this
of
kind
margin.
already in use in science and medicine and mineral exploration, for example. But their use is not restricted to large and expensive computer installations.
At St James's Hospital,
Yay!
there's a project underway which shows that even a
Off
home
spot.
microcomputer can play a role in medical diagnosis. And as with any consultation, the first step is to find out
Oh,
the
that one.
patient's medical history.
Do you get the pain?
Up here.
Up at the right, at the top of your stomach.
That's right, yes.
Check out these glasses and the
How long
haircut.
is this pain for?
For about a week.
And they're not going to be her either.
Well, for about 2 years, on and
I
off.
see. So it first came on 2 years ago.
I
Yes.
think in addition for this programme, they had to be depressed to actually get a part in it.
So over the last 2 years, you've been getting this pain, what, all the time, or does it come and go, or
For about 2 or 3 times a
comes
week.
on, does it? How long does it last when it comes on?
About an hour.
Has the doctor given you any medicines for this?
No, he hasn't.
Is there any history in your
Drugs,
family
wouldn't
of
mind.
stomach problems? Or
Not to my knowledge.
Do you smoke?
Interpreting answers isn't something a computer does very well, but the nature and order of the questions is determined by the way the information has to be entered into the computer.
Colour normal, pale, flustered,
What is your
jaundice.
job? Or
I'm a housewife.
You're a housewife, are you? Right then, well, I think that's all I want to ask you. You'll be going through now to see the doctor, and he'll be having a look at this.
Is it
and
me or
deciding
does she sound like
the
Carol
best
and
thing to
Merton,
do.
whatever her name was?
Very much.
The system is explained by the man who devised it, Mr. Tim de Domville.
Check out the
If you
sideboard.
want a computer to help you with diagnosis, you've got to do a number of things. The first, and perhaps arguably the most difficult, is to collect information from the patient. And in the example which we've
He's
just
like a bloody
seen,
chemistry
that's
teacher.
what was being done. Now, this can be done either by the doctor or by a nursing sister or a medical student, or, as in this specially constructed example, by our research assistant, who's talking to the patient and going in great detail.
I really don't remember this being as dry as it is.
So as to get them as nearly as possible correct.
The data is entered into the computer with each of the symptoms having its own code number.
Hey, the old Commodore 64, the Commodore 64, Commodore PET. Dyspepsia program.
The patient's symptoms are typed in one by one, and the computer confirms that they've been entered correctly.
Number 6, shits.
The computer then compares the case history in question with a large number of records of patients with similar complaints, and on the basis of
I had
this
a lovely
comparison,
clicky keyboard,
makes a
I have to say.
diagnostic prediction, which is
One of the
displayed on
guys that used to
screen.
come to the computer club, he had a Commodore PET. Nice. Jesus, gastric cancer,
Computer's conclusions
41%.
can be printed out for the doctor to
Fuck me,
study
this is a
later.
cheery program, isn't it?
There are still some schools.
God,
of
she
thought
was
that
30 to 39.
should be made to try and think like a doctor. I'd have to say that this isn't the way that we think of it. We think of the doctor as being the focal point of the diagnostic process.
How cool is that
He's
guy,
the
though?
only person who can look at the whole aspect of the process. He can look at the symptoms,
Captain
and the
Cool.
signs, and the impressions he gets from the patient, and the blood tests and the X-rays, and put the whole picture together. Computers at the moment don't
Yeah,
do that
exactly,
at all
Kenny.
well.
We've all done
In
it.
fact, they do it rather badly.
Headache, cancer,
Nevertheless,
sore
if the
stomach,
doctor
then hemorrhage.
goes to a blood test to help him look at the analysis of the patient's blood.
He does Ogs, but he's a
The
pretty
X-ray,
cool dude.
to look at the patient's bones. There seems to me to be no reason why he shouldn't, in addition, turn to the computer and look at that to help him analyze the patient's symptoms. But it's then, at the end of the day, it's the doctor who puts the information together, and he makes the final decision about the patient.
In this project, the computer's being used almost entirely to handle and compare information. But does this qualify as artificial intelligence?
Speaking purely personally, I don't think it does. And when we discuss this problem, sometimes I like to use
I think
the
he's
analogy
pumping
of
enough.
fictional
I think he
computers
is.
to make the point. I think, for example, that we're not.
That's why he's got
looking
the
at
wry
something
smile
like
on his face.
Brother in 1984, and even less do I think we're looking at something like Hal in 2001, which is.
I apologise now if
took over and ran the
if
place,
anyone that's
which
watching
was
this is
detrimental
related
to
to any of
human
these people.
beings.
We're just
Think if
having a
we're looking
laugh.
at anything, we're looking at something like R2-D2 in Star Wars, whose function was simply to carry information to the right point at the right time and enable the people concerned to make a winning decision.
Well, the information in Tim de Domville's
Winning
system
decision, when you heard that
real
before.
medical cases, but the noughts and crosses program on our microbe has been
Sheesh.
learning all by itself. Now let's see if its standard has improved over the last half hour. You'll move 1 to 9. Well, you can play if you like, make it up.
Oh, delightful. 5. The one thing you can't go with is this sheet. It knows all about it. You can see it's taking longer.
Thinking.
Edwin
It's won. It's beaten you.
It did.
Yes.
Yes. So it has learnt something, and it
learnt
even
a lot.
knows when it's won.
Well, in a short program like this, we've only been able to skate over the surface of some of the most interesting and important developments in computer
Really?
science today. But if the amount of effort and money being poured into this kind of research is any to go by, we can expect some surprises in the not-too-distant future.
Jesus, that was fucking tough, that, wasn't it? Professor, I was gutted when I never got to see Poshford, I have to say. I'm just waiting for it to crush the piece into a million pieces. Somehow I think somebody's actually controlling that. I really should stop it now so I don't get a copyright strike, but you know, it doesn't matter. Even if the only people that see this video are the guys watching it just now, that's absolutely fine. I'm interested to see if this one does get a copyright strike, because it's only had the Kraftwerk music at the beginning and the end, like the other ones, so it's weird the way it works. Matt Boney. Yeesh. Right, do we want another one? I suppose I better, because I think I did call it episode 8 and 9. What was that one I just played? I'm sure that was episode 8. Let me remove that. Let's have a look. Even again, you've missed absolutely nothing. Well, you've missed episode whatever it was of the computer program, but it wasn't the most interesting one, but it's still fun. Right, okay, this is the computer program, season 1, episode 9. Let's have it.
2 trout, got them. Milk, got that. 2 ounces of seasoned flour, 2 ounces of butter. And that's the problem. My scales only read in grams, so I need to summon my instant conversion tables. Like this. Imperial metric conversion program. Enter imperial units. We're going to enter ounces. How many ounces do you want? 2. 56 grams. Easy as that. Now, all that, the recipe and the instant conversion tables, are being taken from the BBC's CFAX service by the home computer in this kitchen. In fact, you may not realise it, but I'm surrounded by computers in here. There's one in my washing machine, there's one in the cooker, one in the central heating controller over here. There's
Cooker, really?
In the toaster. In fact, most of the computers will all be coming across in the future, will be built into the equipment itself. But though we may not see them, it will be the computers which are in control.
Yeah, I wonder why there wasn't a season 2 of this. Right, come on, we need posh bug.
Imagine you're lost in an alien world of high walls and mysterious passages. Could you find your way with only a sense of touch and a perfect memory for where you'd been? If a machine can find its way around this maze, could it also be engineered to solve the problem of manoeuvring its way through your living room and hoovering the carpet? Perhaps the mighty Thumper could. He's the champion of the Euro Mouse maze-solving contest.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, there's the nurse on the right with the red top.
And here is Sterling Mouse, up till now the champion. After a tremendous performance in Paris, now what is Sterling going to achieve this time?
Every year, the final draws enthusiasts to London from all over Europe.
Diet Coke version of Robot Wars.
That's the bit where the maze is a bit tight.
When they arrive, the only thing the mice know about the maze is that it's square.
It knows where the middle of the maze is, but it doesn't know what's in the way. It's got to learn where the maze is, it's got to analyse that maze, working out what the shortest path is, going back, having a better try when it's found out a bit more. That really is the essence of robotics. 3, 2, 1, go!
Robot Wars are prototype. Or Robot Wars
Some of the mice at this event don't seem quite to have got behind it.
I think you might be well advised to sort of lift out and restart. The time
Jesus.
now is running out rather fast for qualifying, so if we have any other mice who would like to qualify...
This does not do anything at all for
Of the
golfing.
20 entrants who brought their mice here, only 3 managed to reach the
Big
centre.
hair, glasses.
Many didn't even get as far as the starting gate.
That's purple, isn't it? No, red. We've got to swap red with brown.
All the enthusiasm in the world couldn't get some of them working in time. But you can see that the technology is capable of building a machine that could hoover your carpet or even mow your lawn. Or not, as the case may be.
You want to
do it again to check they didn't come on? Because there might be a fault in the analog board, you see. Brake light, is that the brake light?
Yeah.
One went down.
3, 2, 1, go. Now that's a nice bit of movement, but...
Oh my God, take it, that guy with his chocolate coloured leather jacket and his rather dapper hat.
Well, there he is just going into a lobster pot. Do you really think Questa's going to come out of that?
Well...
It's always possible.
Given enough time.
Questa will only escape from its lobster pot if it's lucky and happens to be pointing in the right direction. Questa's designer has given it no memory yet to remember where it's been. It only has the power to go forwards. It almost looks like instinct, not to say optimism. Whatever obstacles it meets, it changes direction, but still keeps trying to go forwards.
It's complete and utter luck.
But what happens if you give one of these mice a memory?
Well, let's see how long it takes him to the middle.
Can a mouse like Theseus, for instance,
Hey,
which seems to know its way around the maze, be considered intelligent?
No, it's absolutely dim. This particular mouse has a program which will, I hope, solve one particular problem. Outside of that environment, it's useless. He's only following a set of instructions that I told him to do. If I give him wrong instructions, he looks very stupid indeed, because he goes down the wrong path.
It's a computer, mate.
Well,
Jesus.
here he is, Theseus, the amazing maze-learning micro mouse. Now, the program has 2 quite separate functions. Let me show you. Take off the mouse part. Sorry, old chap. One controls its physical position by sensing the walls of the maze through these little whiskers all the way around, and driving the little motors, which in turn drive the wheels. And the other works out where the device is in the maze and navigates it to the centre by the shortest possible route. The whole operation is controlled by an ordinary low-cost microcomputer, the sort you can buy in the high street. I can prove just how normal it is by making it look like the micro we know and love. All I have to do is plug in the keyboard and plug in the television, and in fact, in completely the ordinary way, we can list the program, and there it is on the TV screen. And that's the program that makes Theseus such a terrific navigator. Now, Mac, the actual mechanics of it are those little metal whiskers, which are like a real mouse's whisker, sort of detecting where the walls are and switching motors on and off, is that right?
Yes, and also sending signals to the computer, which are again on-off signals when it detects the end of a wall, so the computer can form the maze.
So there's a lot of switching going on.
That's right. And I can show you some switching here. If you take this ordinary little calculator with a liquid crystal display, though each of those numbers has 7 possible
missed an opportunity for shell oil or
by
boobies.
various combinations of these 7 possible positions, you can form each number, each character from 0 to 9.
I've seen those many times. I've often wondered how they were done.
Well, you can see it better on this one. You can see this is the outline, and as we go through it, it sends a signal down one part here to illuminate that, down this wire to illuminate that, and is effectively 7 switches, just like ordinary light switches, you can almost imagine them. And it will go around and do any one of those 7 different things. So by any combination of these, you can do a 2, or a 3, a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
and
9.
each time, it's a combination of these connections.
Right. On, off, on, gives you that series. Of course, we're not using all of them, and you can get some curious combinations, like that, for example, which is quite meaningless, but that's one of these 3 connections, and it's quite meaningless.
That's terrific. Well, by acting as a highly sophisticated switch like that, a computer can control a washing machine, for example, opening a valve to let water in at one moment, then turning on the heater, revolving the drum, at the same time measuring the temperature, sensing the water level, and so on. Now, although computers can be very small, there's no limit to the size of operation they can control. Jill Neville found one which will take your breath away.
The way we treat our sewage has changed little in the last 100 years. The effluent is fed into large tanks where the solids settle out at the beginning of a process that seems largely automatic.
Right, Jill, tonight you're going to make a
beneath the
special on
surface
sewage.
are the real scavengers.
Oh, there we are.
Key role to play in the purification process. After the indigestible solids have been removed,
Can't think why she never returned for season 2. But yeah, why don't you stand there?
chemicals into harmless constituents. But to do their work, they need oxygen.
After only 12 hours, this army of unpaid workers has produced an end product pure enough to pour straight into the nearest river or sea. But it's this purification process that engineers are now trying to optimise.
To make the purification process even cheaper, we need to make it more efficient, and that means getting the best out of the bugs. At the moment, for example, they're fed the sewage as and when it's produced by the supplier. But would they process it
that
more
would normally excite me, LFC, but not in this way.
at a constant rate?
Because you can't ask bacteria directly, you have to resort to experiment. Next to these tanks, engineers from the local polytechnic have built an experimental sewage plant. At its heart is a small computer controlling the environment of those tiny microorganisms and monitoring everything they do.
When it rains, the sewage becomes very dilute, and those bugs could go very hungry. But sewage, being what it is, you can't use a valve to monitor the rate of flow. So the computer issues instructions to this motor to drive a thread and lower a floppy pipe.
But you can't just connect a floppy pipe to a computer. The pipe and its motor are part of an analogue world of continuously changing flow rates and fluid levels, while the computer can only handle electrical signals, digital patterns of ons and offs.
Any idea what she's talking about?
To bring these two worlds together, the analogue signals must be converted by expensive interface units to those on-off patterns. In comparison, the computer the engineers have chosen is cheap and almost inconspicuous. To change the rate of flow and so alter the nourishment level for those bugs, the computer can divert sewage to and from a balance tank. This enriches or modifies the food supply, which the tiny microorganisms thrive on. But the efficiency with which they break down the sewage can only be measured by another expensive piece of apparatus, a total organic carbon content analyzer. Researchers in Portsmouth hope for huge financial savings if they can process more sewage faster without a drop in the quality of the end product, or by having a clearer understanding of those tiny microorganisms.
An official measure in Jiffy?
By monitoring every aspect of the bug's environment, the scientists hope soon to discover what suits them best. Perhaps, like us, it'll turn out that they like their food at fixed meal times, with pauses in between for digestion. But whatever happens, that high street computer in there has the flexibility to handle it.
A personal computer providing a real public convenience. Now, a number of the computers we've seen at work so far have had the ability to do more than one thing at a time. Now, Mac, is that something it's easy for a computer to do?
Well, it's quite tricky to program because the computer itself can only do one instruction after another. Of course, it works very, very quickly, so it just seems to be doing lots of things at the same time. For example, it might be reading the temperature and adjusting a heater. It might be reading water flow and adjusting a valve. In fact, some of the larger computers, you can have many programmers actually sitting down programming on them, and they don't know if anybody else is on the system at all. They're called time-sharing system. Think of yourself as a waiter, and a well-organised waiter. He will be taking the order from one customer whilst another customer is actually eating his food, so each customer believes he's got one personal waiter.
A bit elite docking station going on, folks. Yes, yes. No, no.
If you can keep going at that speed, Chris, you've got a job for life.
Getting a computer to share its time between a number of different
I don't
tasks
think I've ever seen him smile, do you know that?
too.
Can't think
But
why.
how does a computer actually control anything, Mac?
Well, we can show you on this micro a very simple little program. What we're going to do is to improve the comfort in your living room. And we've got a heater here for when the temperature drops below a certain level. And we've got a fan here for when the temperature is higher than a certain level to give you real creature comfort. We've got a temperature sensing device there.
Yes.
And a piece of wire which will feed into the back of the computer. And we've written a little program which is here.
We can actually do that.
Yes, we can do
Terrific.
it.
Now, 100 temp for temperature, I guess, equals add val 1. Well, you've lost me straight away with the first line.
Well, that's very simple. The value that we're putting in here of the temperature in centigrade, we're inputting through port number 1 in the back of the computer. So we get into the computer the actual temperature in centigrade, and we're going to call it temp.
And add val is something that the basic language that the computer understands.
That understands, yes.
It's expecting a value, all right. Now, those chevron signs are something I remember from my long-forgotten maths. If temperature is more than 25 degrees, I assume, then proc switch 1.
Well, this is a procedure, and we've given this one the name switch. So in this case, we've said procedure switch, go to procedure switch, and the switch is a 3-position switch, and set it in position 1. Now, what that will do, it will send a signal down this wire from the computer into this isolation box, which isolates it from the mains, and then it will switch on this fan, because it's greater than 25 degrees, and switch off your fan heater if it happened to be on.
Okay, well, that makes the next 2 instructions very...
it's like a well-dodgy...
straightforward in that case. If the temperature is less than 15, then proc switch 2. That's the other wire controlling the other thing. If the temperature is more than 15 and the temperature is less than 25, then proc switch 0. What does that mean?
Well, that means switch them both off. If it's between 15 and 25, you don't want a heater, you don't want your fan, so it simply switches them both off.
Okay. Can we make it go?
Yes, let's run. Oh, well, I'd heat that up first, because nothing will happen because we're between 15 and 25. If you make it nice.
We are, you're right. 22, the studio temperature, 22.2. Okay,
Right.
let's just wham it up to something that... Oh, God, that was quick. 50. It should do it. R-U-N... return.
What's he trying to do? I have no idea what he's doing here.
Wonderful.
There you go, the computer turned the fan on.
Cooling spray here. I'm just going to see if it goes off. Nothing's happened.
No, it won't, because
It's
the
partial
program isn't
success.
running. It's run through once, which is enough to set this going, but it's not running anymore.
Oh,
It's
I
done
see.
its
It's a
job.
once and for all program. That's all
That
we've
is,
done.
but we've got to convert into one that runs continuously. It's continuously sensing the temperature.
So we have to put in another instruction.
That's right.
It's
Go
going
to
to
10.
140. That much I can manage.
Sorted.
Well, what you want to do is to go back to the beginning. Go back to this first instruction, instruction 100.
Well, there's bound to be a basic computer jargon expression for that.
Go to.
Oh, just that?
Simple as
Go
that.
to...
Go to 100.
Oh, I see. That's in one word, isn't it? Go to.
100. And run. Return and run.
Well, the
that's
fan
stopped.
stopped. That's very good. Now,
So we must be between the two.
Yes, we are. 17 point something or other. Let's just quickly cool it.
There we go.
And the fan heater comes on. That's very good.
It really works.
That's terrific. One thing that does occur to me, Mac, is that it's normally the sort of job that you do with a very cheap thermostat on the wall. You know, you don't need a computer to turn your central heating on and off, do you?
Well, this is a general-purpose computer, and obviously there's not more chips in here than you, strictly speaking, need to control the heat in your room. For example, there's a chip to control the screen, and you wouldn't need the screen. There's a chip controlling the keyboard, and you've got chips controlling the disc. We've got chips controlling the cassette recorder, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So if we took out the ones we really needed, you'd have something like this, which is a processor, some memory, and something to handle the input-output.
Right.
So you end up with 4 chips. But even so, you wouldn't have 4 chips. You'd get that all into one single chip, and a special chip will be produced.
Right. Well, it's difficult to imagine the scale on which the electronic circuits are working inside that chip. I mean, as we've said before, the instructions and information
These
are
could
stored
quite
in
literally
little
could
electrical
not
ons
find
and
more
offs.
interested,
We
could
can
he?
demonstrate the physical size of each one of those circuits with this American stamp. If we could zoom in onto the map so that we could see every state, every town, and then close right down to every
It's
street.
Google Maps, isn't it?
And then every house. That's the scale of the detail that's photographically etched onto the silicon. And these are some of the connections on the chip. And this is the whole circuit that makes up the kind of area of the chip. And this is the chip itself. In fact, the total area on that chip is about 1/4 of an inch square. How on earth, Mac, do they get all that onto something that size?
Well, the principles are fairly straightforward. If you take your holiday snaps and a piece of 110 film,
Just when you thought it couldn't get any
you
dollar.
often get them developed and then enlarged, and you get something back like this.
I really, I know I've said it 3 times already, but I really don't remember it
Draw
being
out a circuit
this
as
bloody
big as
dry.
this, and then they photo reduce a set of these so small that they can be used to etch the components and the circuits on a tiny piece of silicon. The great thing is you can produce them that will do many different things. The same chip can be used to run your toaster, that can run your washing machine, that can run your dryer, and so on. And because the programs are only set in the thing right at the last bit of manufacture.
Oh, I see. So they're all more or less the same design until you just get to the last stage where some extra sort of doorways, some doors are opened and other doors are closed to give it its specialist function. So
Exactly right. So that they one chip they can make it very big.
So what's how much is that?
making up
Well, I don't know, they're between £1 and £5 usually.
Is that all?
Yes.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because the computer...
The funny thing is, Bill,
so
despite it being as dry and
so
anything,
reliable,
I still
many
love
domestic
watching all this
gadgets
kind of
now
shit.
use them, as Max said, instead of the old electric motors and relays.
I think who they could have brought in to spice it up a
washing
wee
machine
bit.
controller,
Could have
for
brought in
example,
like Bill Oddie or Will Swan,
thing.
something like that. Or even
Set your
Heinz Wolf from the Great Egg Race. He would have done a cracking job.
to itself. Actually, let me show you. We took one to pieces just before the program, just to see what it contained.
Yeah, we will
There's an awful lot
make
to
a
go wrong there.
look at a few
That has been
micro
replaced
lives which we
by
can start with.
this computer chips.
I've watched the last episode of this, obviously.
Same job, with no moving parts, almost total reliability, and the capacity for lots more functions. Fresh uses for this kind of electronics are being dreamt up all the time.
No,
as the
interesting that,
advertisers go
yeah.
to great lengths to tell us.
They did carry it, Leslie Judd.
And these advertisers don't
Fred Harris,
hesitate to use
who
glamorous
plays
TV commercials to
present
paint
us,
vivid
funnily
pictures
enough.
of an amazing and perhaps a little bit unbelievable computer-controlled future.
And old windscreen wipers on car headlights.
The motor car is likely to become the biggest user of the silicon chip outside the computer industry. We're already being seduced by a glossy image of life with microcomputers. Step inside and sit at the seat of a car that's so full of microcomputers that a driver hardly seems necessary. I once bought a car where, to maximize engine life, the instructions were to change the oil every 1,500 miles if it was in heavy usage, i.e. you were driving it in heavy traffic. In medium usage, you change every 3,000 miles, and light usage, cruising up and down motorways, you change the oil every 6,000 miles. The trouble was, I could never remember exactly what I'd used my car for during the previous period, so I used to change the oil whenever I thought it needed it. Well, happily, the problem has been solved. We're now able to measure every possible thing that this car is doing in its engine. And by using electronic sensors, we can take the oil temperature, the oil pressure, the engine revs, things we've been doing for years, but in addition to that, to take fuel flow, how much fuel is being used, how often the car's being used, how long the journeys are, the number of times the accelerator's been pressed, and for how long.
No matter how this car is driven, information from the sensors builds up a picture that can tell me when it needs an oil change or a service. And that is the secret. A single chip microcomputer system that carries out all this work. Well, I could imagine that this could actually save the life of your engine, but there are other microcomputers in this car that could save your life. In an emergency, a computer takes over and stops the brakes locking. You can brake and steer without losing control.
This time, the sensors measure the speed of
Pretty
each
serious
wheel
taking a
and
risk.
feed the information into a microcomputer controlling the braking circuits. Just before the wheel locks, the brakes are released for just a fraction of a second.
There are actually 6 computers in this car, each one dedicated to a separate task. Providing information, controlling your safety, and if you keep an eye on your fuel consumption indicator, you could cut your petrol bills.
The microprocessors in this car are not of themselves particularly expensive, so we're likely to find them on much cheaper models of the next generation. But it's not just in motor cars we're going to find them. Wherever we want to be in better command of the environment that's surrounding us, whether it's for better
I think it was
comfort,
written in the contract that
safety,
they must
security, or
wear
economy,
chocolate brown
then we're
everything.
going to find it's the chip that's in control.
Hooray, that's Jesus, right, anyway, yeah. Right, we've got one more of this to watch. I think we'll watch that next week. Who's up for one single episode of Arcade? Let me know. If you want to see it, let me know, we'll do it. If not, we'll call it a night. Interested to see if we get another copyright strike or a block, whatever it is. There we have it. Yeah, right. Let's we'll go for one episode of Starcade if I can find it. Can't actually remember what. Have we watched this one? Let me just quickly.
No, and I'm going to ask you.
All right, now I've not seen this one. Right, okay. This is episode. Right, copy here. Right, I'm going to have to. Cheers, Jambon. Take care, buddy. Remove that. Scotland won 2-0, did they? You can tell you how interested I am in football. Right, video file. Right, okay, this is Starcade. If you don't know what Starcade is, it's an American quiz show that came out early 80s. Right, this is going to be mega loud, so I'm going to have to quickly turn it down.
This is Starcade.
Right, I've got the volume almost turned down. Let me know how it is.
First time anywhere. And now,
Bingo! Biggest loady shite ever.
Jeff Edwards. All right, thank you very much. Welcome to Starcade. We're backstage. Our players are getting ready for
Good laugh one, never heard of that one. Right, be a bit quiet.
going to have the opportunity to win their very own video arcade game. So players,
Who's
you
that,
ready?
Kenny?
You ready? Okay, let's go play Starcade.
Yeah! I love the way they run. Look at them. Never saw Terry Wogan do that, did you?
All right, here we are, a nice studio audience, and we have some good contestants today. Let's meet them right now. Your name is?
Allison Cheney,
And what?
and I'm 12 years old.
Oh, and I'm 24. What do you tell me a little bit about yourself, Allison?
Well, as you know, I'm Allison Cheney, and
And you're 12 years old.
yeah,
What else?
I live in Thousand Oaks, California, and my hobbies are baseball and softball and flag football and.
Boy, you're quite a sports freak, aren't you?
Mhm.
Good, Allison. Nice to have you on the show.
Good
And you
feelings,
are?
awkward.
Lawrence Lee, and I just finished my sophomore year at college.
At college? No kidding. Good for you. What are you
You
majoring
look awkward as well.
Business administration.
Is this a good luck piece around your neck here?
Yes, it is.
All right, well, we'll wish you good luck, Lawrence and Allison. As you know, our
Jesus.
contestants are matched up based on their ability in playing
Two more
today's
awkward
games, and one of you
contestants you'll never
is going to have
see.
a chance to win this fabulous video arcade game. It is Buck Rogers today.
All
Lawrence
right.
and Allison, shake hands and get ready to go play
Oh,
Starcade. Go
more
on over
like
to the
family
podiums, and
moment.
as you get ready, Kevin will tell us about the 5 games we'll be
Go on,
playing today.
Kevin.
Kev.
Go with
Jeff,
Kev.
where else but on Starcade can you have an old western shootout, destroy a fleet of spaceships, and run off with money bags all in 1/2 hour? Our first game today, whoa, a great combat with a terrible foe. Next is Galaxian, a whappin'-zappin' spacey chase. Guzzler, and you're a waterman. It's Bagman, a race through the mines for money. And finally, Wild Western, good guys.
Never heard of that one. I've never played the first one or the last one.
All right, Kevin and Allison and Lawrence, those are our 5 games. Both of you had a chance to play them before today's show. One of them is a mystery game. If you pick that within the first 3 games, you automatically win a prize, and we'll let the home audience in on that secret, what the mystery game is. Kev?
Our mystery game today.
The hell is she doing?
All right, now they know, and I'm going to ask you a question, Allison and Lawrence. First one to buzz in gets to answer the question, answer correctly, and you pick our first game. Here we go. The chef on Burger Time can score extra points by smashing Mr. Hot Dog, Mr. Egg, or Mr. Pickle between A, between burger parts, or B, with a spatula.
Burger parts.
Spatula?
No, sorry, it's between the burger parts. That's how they get them. So, Lawrence, you get to pick our first game. What game are you going to play first?
Play Bagman.
Bagman! Oh, one of my personal favorites. So let's find out how to play Bagman.
Jeff, I know I don't need to tell you how to play this game, but for the benefit of our contestants, the money is yours for the taking. Grab it up and hurry to the waiting wheelbarrow on the surface and plunge into the mine for more. Defend yourself with your pickaxe or a passing ore cart for a ride into another area of the mine. Save time and steps by taking the mine elevator to the surface. If a guard is in hot pursuit, slow him up by sacrificing one of the money bags. You're the bagman, and your goal is dough.
Now, Lawrence, why'd you pick Bagman?
Because I like it better than the other games.
Okay, I like Bagman too. So does Phil Martino, who holds a high score here among the Starcade staff. Best thing to do, though, in 50 seconds is just to get as much money as you can and put it in that wheelbarrow. If the guard's in hot pursuit, drop the money on him, and it'll knock him out for a little while. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, we wish you good luck. Get ready, get set, play. There he goes. Got one. Wait for the guard, and then pick up the axe. Got it. Now he's going to go. 30 seconds. There's one bag of money. Whoop. You're going to be in trouble. Look out. Ah, you got one more guy, but you have time. Let's find out. Got to climb the ladder.
You're doing too bad, Mister.
Got the bag. Look
Really mad moment. Where are you, mate?
Now you can go. 6 seconds. 5. Will you make it? Oh, you were almost there. Well, you have 4,000 points. Lawrence, not bad in 50 seconds. Head on back. And here comes Allison. Okay, Allison. You like Bagman?
I don't know. I've only played it once, and that was here.
Oh, that was before the show. Well, it's a fun game to play if you get it right. The best thing you do is get that money into the cart, into the wheelbarrow as fast as you can, Allison, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Don't get killed. 50 seconds. Ready, get set, go. There you go. Up that ladder. Oop, get the bag. There you go. You got that guard confused, I think. Oh, look out.
What are you doing now?
Oh, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Oh, too bad. Okay, next guy coming up. Here we go. Which way is he going to go? Oops. Oh, those guards are smart. Now you got him. Hurry up. Can you get there in time? 10 seconds. Hurry up. Up that ladder. Come on, Allison. 5, 4. No, you dropped it too soon. Oh, no. You just dropped it before the wheelbarrow. Huh?
I said I was lousy at the game.
Well, that's all right. There's other games coming up. You have 940 points. We'll be right back to find
You're
out who gets
screwed,
the
Allison.
next game here on Starcade. Stay with us, please.
No idea.
Some of the Starcade staff stays at the beautiful Pacific Plaza Hotel, a small Grand Lux hotel in the European tradition, 1 block from Union Square in San Francisco. The Starcade audience travels by way of Trailways bus lines. No bus, plane, or train gets you there cheaper than Trailways. Go Big Red, go Trailways. The grand prize today on Starcade is the video arcade game
I'll be honest, I wouldn't thank you for a
and you'll be on a race
Rogers
through space in the
arcade cabinet.
25th century, fighting your way through heavily armed channels, through formidable smasher tunnels, and around the towering spires of a cosmic city. It's Buck Rogers, furnished by Sega Electronics. And now back to Starcade with Jeff Edwards.
Okay, Kevin. Well, Bagman is over with. Let's see how we stand at this point. Allison, you have 940 points. And Lawrence, you have 4.
You're probably going.
So, okay, Lawrence. Now, Allison, I don't want you to feel too bad. We've had a player here on Bagman only get 50 points, so you did okay. And, of course, Lawrence, you're in the lead.
That's going to make him feel a whole lot
this
better.
round, and the total points scored on both games will determine who gets to play the name of the game board. So I have a question, if you guys are ready. Here we go. Frogger rescues the lady frog from the floating log. He gets extra points. A, automatically. B, when and if he reaches home base.
Automatically.
No, it's when and if he reaches home base. And Allison, good for you. You get the advantage. Now let's see if you can pick a game that Lawrence is going to have trouble with. What do we play?
That, trawl. Or
Crawl. Crawl. All right, that's the mystery game. Good for you. You get a prize, and Kevin will tell you what it is.
It's a White's metal detector featuring ground exclusion balance to help you locate coins, jewelry, and precious metals while excluding mineralized soil. A metal detector from White's Electronics.
Sadly, I don't think so, Ian.
To find out how to play that game, we'll ask the man
I always
who
thought
learned
that they were actually going to be really good, but it's the
Jeff?
complete opposite.
Sometimes, Jeff, you can
Never
be so
played this.
control. You're on a mission to rescue Princess Lisa from the Beast. First, collect the pieces of your weapon, the glaive, avoiding the crushing boulders. Then begin the adventure, picking up your army for points, defending
like a
yourself with the
people,
glaive. And that's a magic
people
weapon that
commando.
always returns. You are Kroll.
All right, I'm going to give you some hints on this game, okay, Allison?
Okay.
And you listen too, Lawrence, if you will. When you go to pick up the glaive, those boulders are going to be coming down at you. If you stay at the edges, you're safe, all right?
Okay.
All right, then if you
That's
get to
very
the
true, Ian.
screen,
Yeah,
you
very
wanna
true,
pick up
mate.
your own army, but they'll come to you as you go and fire at the aliens.
All right.
All right, you ready to go?
Yes.
Good luck to you,
That was
Allison.
based on a
You
film.
ready?
I have heard of the
Set.
film.
Play. All right, got to get the glaive. There's one. There's two.
Oh, you're
There we
down.
go. It's a little tougher now. Hang out to the edge. Is there an opening? There's the opening. Good for you. Now it's a tough run. Can you make it? Look out.
Yeah, at least he's getting some decent points. Pretty good.
20 seconds. Doing great. 15 seconds to go. 10 seconds. Here comes that screen. 8.
Oh, so that's a good
Wow,
match.
great,
That's
Allison.
good.
Terrific. Head on
All
back.
right.
Here comes Lawrence. 8,880. Lawrence, that's a pretty tough score. What do you think?
I don't know. I'll try.
How are you at this game?
I'm shit.
Average. All right, we'll find out what average is. You have 50 seconds. Get ready. Get set. Play. All right, here we go. Here's one of them. There's two.
There's already like the Alpha score on it. So the advantage. Even Colin.
No, missed it. There, you got it. You have about 15 seconds to go with that second screen. It's coming up. And we're off.
Doesn't help if you don't 30 seconds to start the level too. Yeah, right. I'm not impressed with the game, but I do like the. I do like the
Even
sound.
the score up a little bit there, but whether it's going to be enough for Allison, I'm not sure. Both of you had a chance to play Bagman and Crawl, and now one of you is going to play for a special prize, so we'll total up the scores from both games to see who gets to play the Name the Game board. And Allison, you have a total so far of 9,820. Lawrence, you have 11,380. Lawrence, you get to play the Name the Game board.
Woo!
Okay, behind you, as you know, is the Name the Game board. Don't look at it right yet, okay? Because we're going to show you 4 video games, and if you name the games correctly, you're going to win a good prize. Now, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can turn around. Take a look up there in the upper left-hand corner. Is that Robbie Roto or Dig
Robbie Roto.
Right you are, that's one. Number 2, is that Rescue or Sea Battle?
Sea Battle.
Sea Battle?
No, sorry, it's Rescue. Number 3, Cosmic Chasm or Reactor?
Cosmic Chasm.
No, it's Reactor. That's too bad. Let's take number 4. Is that Kicks or Fusard?
Kicks.
Yes, it is Kicks. Okay. Well, that's it.
You go fuck
are
off.
gone. You only got 2 out of 4. That's not enough for a prize, but you're in the lead, and we'll see whether you can take home your Buck Rogers or if Allison is going to catch up right after these words.
Here's the latest video game news from the Starcade Hotline. There's a whole lineup of games now that have been created from successful movies or television series. Tron started it all. First came the movie and then the game. Then Buck Rogers went from television to game. Next came Star Trek, and then the big box office hit Star Wars went video. And at the same time, a movie and a game were released for the very first time. Crawl, a journey into a magical land. The logic for turning successful movies into games is pretty obvious. The game really puts you into the action. Plenty of action left today.
Yeah, so we don't get all this never played video games around,
Right in
right?
the middle of the action at round 2. 1 game left to play. 40 seconds to play it. After that, we'll total up all the scores, and the top scorer on all games is going to get a chance to win that Buck Rogers game. So, Allison, you ready? Lawrence, you ready? Here's your question. Over here's your question. There you are. Okay. How many snow bees hatch to pursue Pengo the penguin when the game begins? A, 3,
3.
B, 4.
4.
I'll read it again. How many snow bees hatch to pursue Pengo the penguin when the game begins? A, 3, B, 4.
3.
Lawrence.
3.
3 is right. Good for you. All right, Lawrence, there's 3 games left. Which one shall it be?
Guzzler.
Guzzler.
Oh,
Guzzler
come
it
on,
is.
pick
And
a
there's
Latin
only
for
one person
Christ's
to tell us
sake.
about Guzzler, and that's Kevin.
It's the Guzzler, a waterman putting out fireballs, flashes, and demons, collecting more water from puddles, or by just walking if he's completely empty. The faster he extinguishes the fire, the bigger the points. He's a waterman, the Guzzler.
Okay, Kevin. Well, Lawrence, about all I can tell you about this game, and Allison, you
Never
might want to
played
listen
it, and
to,
I've got
is if you see the
absolutely no
glass
interest in
or the
doing it.
pitchers in the center, and you can get to those, you're going to get some bonus points.
Okay.
Now, don't run out of water. If you run out of water, you got to go drink some or just walk around and you'll fill up. Ready to go?
Yes.
All right, you have 40 seconds. Wish you good luck. Get ready. Get set. Play.
I wonder if anyone says, are you ready to play? Nope. This is a complicated fight, man. Good.
Okay, about 15 seconds left.
No, Arthur's not going to make up a point. That's the game that this program, if you get a big enough lead, you know you need to do is pick a game like the last game, you're not going to score very much.
Trouble with the water, huh?
Yes.
Okay, Lawrence, head on back. Let's see what
Making
happens
it
now.
nigh on impossible for the second player to come back.
Now, Allison, you need some points, right?
Yes.
You got any particular strategy you're going to use on old Guzzler?
No, just that I want to win.
Well, I don't blame you for wanting to win. There's a big prize at stake here. Let's see how well you do, and you got a chance to catch up now. Just don't get burned up, okay? All right. Here we go. 40 seconds. Get ready, get set, play. And here goes Allison.
that was good. Oh, keep it going, hey? That was a good start.
Here we go. Try to get those flames. No, you get burned up again. Be careful, Allison. 15 seconds to go. Try to get those flames for bonus points. All right. 3,100. Well, Allison, you beat Lawrence at Guzzler, but whether it's enough points, we'll find out in a minute. Head on back next to Lawrence. And now comes the time when we add up all the scores and find out who today's big winner is.
I wonder who's won.
Your grand total is 12,920. Nicely played, Allison. Lawrence sits with 14,020. Lawrence, you got it. You're the winner today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice play. And Allison, you won our mystery game prize, so you don't go home empty-handed. I hope you had a good time.
I did.
And I hear you want to be the first lady baseball player.
Yes.
I hope you make it. Good luck to you. Nice hand for Allison. She played a good game.
Yeah, never happening. Also wanting to be good at video
We have
games.
something
There you
in
go.
particular, and that is a prize for being the big winner. Kevin?
First, it's Konicka's new Disc 15, the world's first autofocus disc camera. Get sharp pictures from 14 inches to infinity automatically. The only disc camera on Earth with autofocus. Disc 15 by Konica. And the Spectre Video SV318, the personal computer you grow into and not out of, featuring built-in CPM compatibility, 32K of ROM, 32K of RAM,
joystick.
user-definable functions, and a built-in joystick from Spectre Video.
Well, let's see if Lawrence can keep up the good work and see if he can take Buck Rogers home with him. We'll find out if he does right after this.
Yep, he's looking rather satisfied for fucking 30 Devils game.
Some of our contestants and some members of the studio audience will receive Trigger Command, the joystick making America trigger happy. Comfort, pistol grip, and trigger action, the thumbless approach to higher scores, the Trigger Command joystick from Electra Concepts.
Can't think why this
And
franchise
two
has
brand new
never
games for
pulled
the
in on a
Atari by
country.
Tronix, Juice and Kid Grid. Fast action, complex strategy, superior sound, and multiple levels of play by Tronix. And Astrosnicks. They live on the happy, friendly planetoid called Snickeria, which millions of light years ago came to our solar system from the Milky
Snickeria.
Way. Astrosnicks are available at fine gift stores everywhere.
And welcome back to Starcade. Well, Lawrence, now it's time to go for the big prize. It's a chance for you to win your own video arcade game. It is Buck Rogers today. We have two games left unplayed, Wild Western and Galaxian. Now, during the commercial, we informed you that if you picked Wild Western, you'd have to score at least 543 points. If you picked Galaxian, you'd have to score at least 1,483 points. Those are the average scores of more than 20 other players that played these same games. And you reached a decision, and you picked
Galaxian.
Galaxian. Okay, Galaxian is it. That means if you score 1,483 points or more in 30 seconds, you're going to win our grand prize. That Buck Rogers is going to be yours. So we'll ask Kevin to tell us about
If you
Galaxian.
take a little cargo and a little free convoy, then he'll get 800 points.
We are the Galaxians, and we have but a single ship to stop the attacking aliens. We can zap them while they're in formation, or get them in flight for bigger points. And if we can zap the flagship and its escorts, that's best of all, for we are the Galaxians.
Depends if he manages to not die.
Are you pretty familiar with this game?
Yes.
All right, you know then that if when they peel off to attack you, you get more points for the attacking ships. Right. If you see two reds and a yellow, hit the two reds first, then the yellow, and you get extra points.
Okay.
All right, that's what you need to do in 30 seconds. Score 1,483 points, and Buck Rogers is yours. Get ready, get set, play.
Take these out. Oh, well done, son.
14, 20, 14, 15. That does it. You got it, Lawrence. You can quit right now. You got Buck Rogers. He didn't want to quit. Congratulations to
There
you.
you go. All right.
You are the big winner here today.
Yeah, didn't know. Buck Rogers did appear on the 364 and it's like arcade game. Right, there's Alison. Are you going to wheel her out? James Caruso. Del Martino.
This is Kevin McMahon speaking. Starcade is a JM production.
And there we have it, folks. That's another Wednesday night retro TV, computer TV thing. So listen, thanks very much for everyone that's joined me to watch these. It's always good fun watching them, actually. Fortunately, there's only one episode of the computer program left, and then we'll delve into the bag that is Michael. Probably back next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, next week. Anyway, have a great rest of the week, chaps. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. See ya.